everyone, I'm Justin Walter.
And I'm Kinga Philipps, and welcome to Explore This. Now today, we're heading to Nicaragua. This is the land of volcanoes, of humongous, amazing lakes, of incredible beaches and beautiful islands. So we are gonna start off by visiting where Justin visited, and he's gonna take us on a little tour of the places that he went. So start me off.
Yeah, so first, Nicaragua has been on my list of travel destinations for a long time. I've been to every country in Central America except for Nicaragua and Honduras.
Ooh.
So going to Nicaragua was super exciting for me, and I did a week-long backpacking trip throughout the country. So I flew into Managua, and the first stop, once I got out of the airport, I told my taxi driver, instead of taking me directly to Granada, to take me to Volcan Messiah. So have you heard of Volcan Messiah?
I've been there, but I want you to tell me
You
your
went there
experience.
because I went there.
That's right, he did tell me about it, and then I thought
All right, so Volcan Messiah is on the way from Managua to Granada, which was the first town I stayed in. And it is an active volcano in Nicaragua. This is the first active volcano that I've ever visited in my entire life. So it was one of those moments of awe, one of those travel moments that I've never experienced before. And to now say that I've seen an active volcano is one of the most incredible, beautiful Earth experiences I've ever had in my entire life.
it's life-changing, isn't it?
Yes. So when getting there was super easy. There's an entrance. I thought we were gonna have to hike up to the top of the volcano. No, basically a car takes you to a parking lot. And then when you get dropped off at the parking lot, you're right at the edge of the volcano. And you just look down at the magma. Is it magma? You know better. It's magma.
Inside the caldera, it's magma.
Yeah.
When it leaves the earth, it is then lava.
So I was solo backpacking, so I had my taxi driver just drop me off, and I just made friends with the people around me, and we were all, like I said, just in awe of looking at an active volcano. So you were there after I was there. What did you think of this volcano?
We actually drove our own car in and had a similar experience. I had seen a live volcano maybe a month before that in Hawaii, but Mark, who was with me, had never seen one, and his face was just shock and awe and wonder. Like Justin said, it is absolutely incredible. You're watching the earth form itself.
It's beautiful.
So it was very cool. All right, next.
So, and I would just say on top of that, if you fly into Managua, which is where you're gonna fly in when you go to Nicaragua most likely, it is super close to that.
1 hour.
You have to either go right when you get there or right when you leave. Make sure that's on the list. Okay, the next spot I went to was Ometepe. Do you know anything about Isla de Ometepe?
Only from what you've told me, and I was so sad that we missed it. So take me through the experience so I can live vicariously for you.
So Isla de Ometepe is an island in Lake Nicaragua that is formed by two big volcanoes.
Not one, but two.
But two volcanoes. This place is magical. I was there for a couple nights, and everyone said a couple nights won't be enough, and it wasn't enough. I wish I could go back. So what I did exploring there was I rented a scooter. So it's really popular to either rent ATVs, scooters, or motorbikes to just basically drive around the island and explore. So on my route, I took my scooter to a location called Playa Mangos, which had a swing with a view of a volcano. I was handed a beer before I got on the swing. I had a little lunch there, and it was just such a little cool spot to kind of on the lake. So that was Playa Mangos. My favorite spot on Ometepe, one of my favorite spots in the entire world, is a place called Punta Jesus Maria.
Why is it so awesome?
Okay, so this place is a stretch of black beach that goes out to the sunset. It has waves crashing from both sides on this stretch of beach. And then when you turn around on the other side, there is a beautiful view of a volcano. I was there during a full moon. I'm telling you, we watched the sunset go down, then we turned around and watched a full moon rise above the volcano. It was magical. I have never been to a place like this where when we were watching this full moon, I went to the end of the beach by myself. I stood at the place at the end of the peak where the point where the waves crash together. And have you ever seen the movie Interstellar?
Yes.
I thought I was in Interstellar. I thought I was like, I landed on some sort of planet that wasn't Earth. I was waiting for dinosaurs to literally come out of the water or fly over the volcano because it just took me out of this world. Ometepe is a very, 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 very special place that I would highly recommend. If you go back to Nicaragua, you have to go to it. Anyone who is thinking about going to Nicaragua, you have to go to Ometepe. And Jesus Punta Jesus Maria is by far, like I've said many times, one of my favorite places now on this planet. It's one of those moments where when you travel, you have like visions in front of you that you've never seen and you never thought you would see, or that you didn't even know existed. Have you ever had that?
Those are the moments of awe.
Yeah. So that was that location.
All right.
And I loved it.
Done. I got to go back and do that.
Yeah.
So what else do you have on the list?
All right, so the next spot is San Juan del Sur. So as a surfer, Kinga, this is the surfer's paradise in Nicaragua.
I've heard about this place.
Okay, so what have you heard about
I've
it?
heard it's a bit of a party town.
Okay, so yes, so if you're looking to party, you go to San Juan del Sur. That's where the party and nightlife vibe is. There's a lot of bars, there's good nightlife, there's good partying, there's good dancing, there's drinking. Anything regarding the party life, that's where you want to go, San Juan del Sur.
They have like a Sunday thing, right?
Yes, they do. So they have something called Sunday. I am shocked, by the way, that Kinga knows about Sunday Fun Day.
Well, Kinga did not go to Sunday Fun Day because Kinga dances like this.
Yeah, so Sunday Fun Day is a world-renowned party that they host in Nicaragua. Unfortunately, I actually went with the intention of going to Sunday Fun Day, but because of COVID, while I was there, it was every other Sunday, and I was there on a Sunday, it didn't happen. So Sunday Fun Day is a huge party that basically there's parties that go from hostel to hostel, bar to bar, with a huge group of partiers. It's a lot of fun. But the other reason to go there is Kinga's like, that's my nightmare.
That's actually what I read about and chose not to go there.
Literally read her mind, that's her nightmare. But the surfing there's over 15 beaches, surf beaches everywhere. You wake up in the morning, it's like, what surf am I gonna go surf today? I went to 3 different beaches. I went to Madeiras, Hermosa, and I can't remember the third one that I went to right now, but 3 different beaches. And I surfed more in Nicaragua than I have surfed continuously in my entire life in LA, which is sad. I live a mile from the beach in Santa Monica, yet I surfed more in San Juan del Sur than I did in Santa Monica.
Warm water, sandy bottom.
Warm water, sandy bottom. Also the waves, for someone who's a beginning surfer like myself, the waves were really easy to get up on. I was getting up on 90% of the waves.
Nice.
And I'm not a very good surfer. I'm not a good surfer. So to be able to get up on those waves, they're the type of waves that beginners can easily get up on. But then I was paddling around with people who are better surfers, and they were still having a blast too and going to the harder breaks.
Oh, good. That's great.
So it was awesome. So partying and nightlife, surfing, San Juan del Sur is where you have to go.
Amazing. All right, I'll skip the Sunday Fun Day, but I'll go for the surfing.
I'll go back for the Sunday Fun Day because I really wanted to do that. Yeah.
So what's number 4?
All right, the last spot I want to recommend that I went to on my backpacking trip was León, and it is a town north of San Juan del Sur. And by the way, I traveled by bus to all these locations as a solo backpacker, and also chicken buses. So that's one of my favorite way to travel in Central America is chicken buses, where it's how the locals get from town to town. It is such an authentic, amazing experience.
And there are often chickens on those buses.
There are chickens on those buses. I highly recommend. The reason I went to this town, León, it's, I believe, the second largest city after Managua in Nicaragua, is for volcano boarding.
I saw pictures.
So volcano boarding is where you hike to the top of a volcano. You have a board. The company I would highly recommend going with is called Volcano Day. And you then ride down a volcano on a board that acts like a sled. There are not many places in the world you can do this. I've been all around the world, and this is the first place I've ever seen or heard of volcano boarding. I actually rerouted my trip so I could end the trip in León to go volcano boarding. It is a thrill unlike any experience or adventure I've ever done. I highly, highly recommend going volcano boarding. The company that does it does an incredible job. They take good photos of you, they take good videos of you. You make friends with the people you're with, and it's such a good half-day adventure.
I am sold on all of this.
Yeah.
I gotta go back. I love that our experiences were so different, by the way.
Yeah, which I'm excited to grill you on your experience in Nicaragua. And I do have to say, I'm taking credit. The reason Kinga and her partner Mark went to Nicaragua is because they saw my trip, they saw what I was posting, and they were so excited to go to Nicaragua based off that. So I'm so excited to grill you on your Nicaragua experience.
It's all true.
Welcome back to Explore This. We are talking all things Nicaragua. I just chatted about my experience, which I had an amazing one, which inspired Kinga to go. So now Kinga is on the hot seat. So Kinga, We did Nicaragua, but we did it differently.
We did.
So you saw my trip, and then how did you kind of decide where you were going to go for your trip?
Well, I looked at your trip and I was like, holy moly, gotta get to Nicaragua.
Yeah.
So Mark and I went over the holidays, and I did it a little differently because you're like social people. And I'm like, people, where can I get away?
Yeah.
And what I did is I actually went to Google Earth and I started zooming in, and I had islands on the mind.
Yeah.
So on the Caribbean side, I found these two islands, Little Corn Island and Big Corn Island.
Yep.
And I was like, I want this.
Yeah.
So I booked the whole trip, flying into Managua. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Ultimately flew into Liberia, Costa Rica, and did a really long drive. But ended up in Managua and took La Costeña Airlines, which is the local Nicaraguan airline that will get you out to the islands. What you do is you get up real early, about 5 a.m., you get on that flight, you hop over to Big Corn Island, where a panga will meet you, which was arranged by our Little Corn Beach and Bungalow.
You would say, what will meet you?
A panga.
What is a panga?
So a panga is basically a little boat.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a term
Did not know
for a
that.
very small boat with all your luggage. Here's a tip, bring trash bags, because then you can put your luggage in the trash
that's
bags
good.
because it's gonna get wet here on the ocean. And the ride is about an hour, and they drop you off right on the beach at
Nice.
Little Corn Beach and Bungalow, which I booked. And this place was paradise. First of all their little bungalows are named after castaways and famous explorers, which I was like, be still my beating heart.
Oh my gosh.
They are absolutely gorgeous. It was incredibly
What was the
affordable.
bungalow name you were in? Which explorer? Do you
I
remember?
think we were in Selkirk.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
But I went through all of them and looked around, and they were beautiful. And we walked in, gorgeously designed by this couple from the States who were so lovely. Came to Little Corn Island. One of the first things that they did was they noticed that there were a lot of dogs that needed vet care.
Okay.
So they actually flew in vets to take care of these animals, and then taught the people there how to continue that on. And so all the dogs there are super healthy, which was one of the first things that I noticed.
So how many dogs? Like, did you see a lot of dogs while you were there?
There are a couple beach dogs. You see a lot of beach dogs,
Yeah.
and they're fun. I love that.
Yeah.
Bungalows, absolutely amazing. Beautifully done. Everything from outdoor showers to just gorgeous little paths, meticulously kept. Their little restaurant, the Turned Turtle restaurant, which is the cutest name, is adorable, great food. All the employees are locals, and they are the kindest, most wonderful people. So that area is beautiful. Their property is wonderful. Attention to detail at the utmost level. And then
what was the name of the property again?
Little Corn Beach and Bungalow.
Okay.
Adorable. Ooh, there's a fly in here. And then
We are in nature.
We are in nature. We are in nature. We're adventuring, which leads me to the jungle part. So to get to town, you can either take the path through the jungle or the beach path, which also ends up through the jungle. And it's this cute, adorable little town with little outdoor restaurants. And we were there for Christmas. There were fireworks going off. There's lobster in all the restaurants. It is delicious and incredibly affordable. I can't stress that enough. So if you want kind of an off the beaten path getaway that is affordable, beautiful, tropical Caribbean, turquoise blue water, we went out free diving almost every day that we were there. They can arrange snorkel tours for you, free diving tours. It's stunning.
So you've been to so many islands and beautiful places around the world. Now looking back at Little Corn in that trip, how does it separate itself from other places that are tropical destinations?
Great question. And to me, it's because it is so undeveloped and it still has such an authentic feel.
Okay.
So you are truly getting the best of the Caribbean in this package that feels like you discovered something that other people don't know about. And realistically, I think maybe one of the adventure travel friends that I have ever heard of the Corn Islands.
That's awesome.
So to me, that is such a win. I was thrilled to be there, and it was not very crowded. Unfortunately, COVID has hit them hard. But outside of that, it is just not a place that it's not Tulum. To me, anything that's on Tulum is fabulous.
So,
and yet luxurious and beautiful.
Yeah, and when you were there, I know Little Corn is small.
Yes.
So if it were at full capacity, about how many people or tourists do you think would maybe be on that island?
It's hard to give you a number, but there really aren't a lot of resorts and places. People can book. I think that the one we stayed in, Little Corn Beach and Bungalow, I went and looked at all of them. And to me, it was the most beautiful location, the most gorgeous rooms. I loved the vibe of it. So even then, it's so spread out that you're really not going to be running into a lot of people.
Okay, so you guys went from Little Corn and then you hopped. To another
we
location.
got back in the Panga, got back to Bighorn Island, got back on La Costilla Airlines, flew back to Managua, rented a car, and we went to a surf camp called Miramar Surf Camp on the Pacific side. And there we also did a bunch of surfing in warm water with rolling little waves, sandy bottom. It was the dreamiest. At one point we were surfing towards a rainbow with sunset behind us, and I was like, oh, this is ridiculous.
Oh man.
And Miramar Surf Camp is great too, perched on a cliff with incredibly scenic, stunning views. You get the sunset every night while you're eating delicious food, floating in the pool. Super lovely people that run the place, and we did spearfishing as well. So we went out spearfishing, I think 2 or 3 days in a row, had a great time.
That's great.
Our guide there provided everything because you actually cannot bring spearfishing guns into the country. So they had it all there for us, and then you can rent boards and just relax. So I did the Caribbean and the Pacific side, and it was off the beaten path, and the digs were luxurious, the food was delicious. Nicaragua, take me back.
So why did you choose to go to a surf camp versus a hotel or an Airbnb, or why'd you pick that location?
Because I love surfing.
Yeah, but no, I know you love surfing, but
That's a good question.
Did you take lessons at the surf camp, or do people were taking lessons? 'Cause I met up with people who were at a surf camp in San Juan del Sur, and they had a group of 15 of them that were taking lessons all day. So kind of what's the setup of a surf camp that you went to?
Yes, they offer lessons, which we did not do because we just wanted to go and play. We boogie boarded one day. The waves were really lovely and small. When it fires, it's actually a very well-known break.
Okay.
Way out of my league when it fires. So we caught it perfectly.
Yeah.
But I selected it specifically because of the spearfishing element.
See, there we go.
So we went for the spearfishing. They also had the surfing, and they also have a skate park on the property. So if you are
That's
into just
awesome.
having a good time,
Yeah.
skating, surfing, free diving, spearfishing, you got it.
Great.
And again, fantastically affordable for what you get.
Yeah.
I think the bang for the buck in Nicaragua is so good. I was impressed. And then we also went to Volcan Messiah,
Same.
drove up
Either
there.
the beginning or the end of your trip, you have to go to Volcan Messiah.
We did it at the end. We
Yeah.
did it at the end.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, seeing a live volcano, that's
It's
never
amazing.
a bad day.
I think one of the things I loved most about Nicaragua, and I want to see if this is what you also loved, is it felt super authentic
Yes.
and rustic. And it feels like, you know, I've been to Costa Rica and everyone talks about Costa Rica. Costa Rica has become very touristy. It's beautiful and amazing to visit, and there's pockets of Costa Rica that aren't. But everywhere I went in Nicaragua felt rustic, remote, and the people were so friendly, so nice, and that was everywhere I went how I felt. Is that how you felt?
I absolutely loved it for all those reasons. The people were lovely. I felt like I was having a very authentic experience that was off the beaten path, which is how I love to travel.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it to everyone out there. So
Yeah,
that's
Nicaragua.
That's Nicaragua in a nutshell.
Nicaragua. Welcome back to Explore This. We are now going to talk about travel tips and safety, kind of what we've experienced in our trip in Nicaragua. One of the biggest questions I get about Nicaragua, is it safe? Is it safe to go there as a traveler? Have you gotten that question a lot?
I get that question everywhere I go.
Yeah.
And I think the more off the beaten path you go, people get a little bit more like, oh gosh, I don't know a lot of people who have been there. Like, is Nicaragua safe?
Yeah.
And I would say an overwhelming yes. It is a place like my meter for that is, would I travel solo there? And I have to say I absolutely would. Of course, taking into account just common sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like when you tell someone, oh, a country is safe, they're like, well, I can walk around at night everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you wouldn't do that in your hometown. So there's the common sense element, of course.
Yeah.
But overall, you know, I felt very, very safe there.
Yeah.
How about you?
I felt extremely safe, and I as a solo backpacker, as a male, it is a little different than a female, but I ran into and met so many female solo backpackers as well. I stayed in hostels everywhere I went, so I was in my own room in hostels, so I met people from all over the world. I had conversations with people about safety in Nicaragua, and the thing that I think that I tell my family, my parents who are still worried about me when I travel, love you, Mom and Dad, you know, I appreciate that. And you know, don't go to Nicaragua, they said. But what I say to that is, I'm going to destinations where a lot of tourists are going in terms of backpackers and people that I'm making community along the way. And we had each other's backs. There was never one point in my trip where I felt unsafe. And like you said, common sense.
Right.
You need to apply common sense to wherever you are, to whatever you're doing, and be aware of, are there dangerous neighborhoods or are there dangerous spots, and stay away. You would do the same thing in the United States. You know,
we live in Los Angeles.
You know, I'm from Chicago. I tell my parents when I come home to Chicago, am I going to the most dangerous parts of Chicago? No.
Right.
Common sense, and also be respectful of the locals and the people that live there and make friends with them. Yeah. I think that is one of the most important things. I 100% felt safe in Nicaragua and in most of Central America where I've been as well. So
I feel the same way.
That's, I like your standard of, would you travel there solo? You would.
Yeah, absolutely would.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
And I think, we have to also talk about, Kinga, getting into Nicaragua, regarding COVID. Make sure to check the local rules and regulations of COVID protocols in getting in and out of countries if you're traveling outside of the United States. They're always changing, so always make sure to check them. But you had a little, problems.
A snafu.
A little snafu that I think is a fun story to share about getting into Nicaragua.
Yeah, it's a quick story. So basically the lesson there is make sure you check with the airlines, check with the country. You can find all this information online. We basically did not upload one of our COVID tests in time. It wasn't me. And we're not allowed on the flight. So then we had to reroute everything and fly into Liberia, Costa Rica, cross the border at night. It was a much longer journey. But ultimately, it was successful. It was a win, and Nicaragua was amazing.
I get a call from Kinga that is, Justin, we can't get on our flight. We're not going to Nicaragua. And I said, no, you are. We are finding you a flight to get you there. And this is when I turn into my amazing race, let's problem solve this solution. I love doing that. So when you called me, I was driving, I pulled over and I started Googling flights and everything and had a blast helping you. But I think this happened to me once when I was in Australia where I missed a flight. If you ever miss flights or you ever have to problem solve, you can make it fun. If you pretend you're on the Amazing Race, you could turn it into a fun scenario and not be stressed out. That is my advice for anyone who ever misses a flight, or if you have any travel snafus.
Great lesson, turn a snafu into an adventure.
Turn it into an adventure. That's what we always try and like to do. But yeah, in any case, regarding travel in general and just safety tips for travelers, is there anything else that comes to mind that you always kind of recommend beyond just common sense?
Bring a trash bag for all your dirty clothing. That's it.
And to keep your bags dry in case you're going on a wet boat ride.
On a panga ride. That's right.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Nicaragua.
I highly recommend Nicaragua. Kinga highly recommends it. It's somewhere where not a lot of people necessarily are going to. And I would say definitely put Nicaragua on your bucket list, your travel to-do list. So Nicaragua, we are so grateful and thankful that you gave us both such amazing travel experiences.
And to all of you out there, thank you for joining us for another episode of Explore This in Nicaragua. We'll see you next time on the road.